They said she died with her heels still on. A size 7 glitter heel snapped clean at the base, one found near the dumpster, the other still on her foot when police rolled the body bag. Her corsage was wilted, her lip gloss smeared, and her prom dress, a champagne silk she'd picked with her father, was stained with blood and muddy water. She didn't make it to the after party, didn't walk across the living room for one last picture with her dad. Her name was Kaylin Brooke, 17, captain of the dance team. And just hours before she died, she told someone, "I think my stepmom's cheating on my dad with his best friend." That was her last known conversation. It's what she knew, not who she was, that got her killed. And the woman who tucked her hair behind her ear that evening, the woman who promised to stay up and wait for her, was the same one who made sure she never walked through the front door again. The house was full of laughter that afternoon, the kind that bounces off walls and pretends nothing ugly has ever happened there. Kaylin stood by the mirror, adjusting the tiny gold earrings her father bought her last week, the ones shaped like tiny suns. "You're the brightest thing in my world," he'd told her. Her hair fell in soft, controlled curls. Her prom dress shimmered like a glass of champagne in the spring light. Outside, the azaleas had just bloomed. Inside, her stepmother watched her with a tight smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "You look grown," Danielle said from the doorway. Her arms were folded. Kaylin didn't answer. Their relationship had never been easy. But lately things had shifted. Conversations grew colder. Doors closed faster. And just 2 nights ago, Kaylin had overheard something she wasn't meant to hear, the deep voice of her father's old friend Greg, whispering in Danielle's bedroom while her father was away on business. That voice, that laugh, that moan, it had burned itself into Kaylin's ears. She hadn't told anyone yet, but she was going to. Tonight, after prom, when her dad got home from the airport. She wasn't angry, not exactly, just stunned. She knew Danielle wasn't perfect, but cheating with her dad's closest friend, that was something else. That was evil disguised in soft-spoken smiles and stepmotherly advice. "Don't stay out too late," Danielle said. "Text when you get there." Her voice was syrupy, almost mocking. She leaned in, brushing invisible lint off Kaylin's shoulder. "And don't let anyone ruin your night." Kaylin didn't flinch, but something shifted in her. She saw it now, the fake lashes, the overdone perfume, the mask of a woman who always wanted to be the main character. The prom was held at a country club just outside town. Kaylin arrived with her date, Jordan, a quiet boy from the soccer team. Music, lights, spinning colors, it was everything she imagined, but her mind was elsewhere. She checked her phone twice, rereading the voicemail she secretly recorded from Danielle's conversation with Greg. It played in her earbuds like a warning bell. By 10:42 p.m., she was sitting on the back steps near the golf course, heels off, scrolling through messages. Her best friend Tasha joined her, giggling about something a chaperone said, but Kaylin was distracted. "Tasha," she said quietly, "what would you do if you found out your stepmom was sleeping with your dad's best friend?" The question landed like a brick. Tasha blinked. "Who?" Kaylin nodded. "Danielle. And Greg." She showed her phone. "I have the recording." Tasha covered her mouth. "Kay, are you serious?" Kaylin looked off toward the hills. "Dead serious. I'm telling my dad when he gets home tonight." And that's the last time Tasha saw her alive. By midnight, Jordan couldn't find her. Her phone was off. The DJ announced the last dance. No one noticed Kaylin hadn't returned. But outside, near the maintenance shed behind the club, a security guard found a single heel, some scattered pearls, and a fresh smear of blood trailing toward the woods.
If you're enjoying this story, kindly do us a favor and subscribe to our channel. It is free and won't cost anything, but it means the world to us. We're just a small channel trying to grow. Thank you, and back to the video.
Detective Mara Langley was called to the scene at 2:06 a.m. She'd worked homicide for 8 years, but there was something about this one, the innocence of a prom dress left to soak in dew and dirt, that sank heavy in her chest. The victim was 17. No signs of sexual assault. No robbery. No witnesses. Just silence. And blood. Langley spoke with club staff first, then security, then pulled the guest list. By dawn, she was sitting in the family's living room. Danielle opened the door in a robe. Her mascara was perfect, her grief rehearsed. She was so excited, she whispered. I can't believe someone would do this. Langley watched her carefully. When did you last see Kaylin? Danielle paused. Right before she left, around 7:30. I took a picture of her. It's on my phone. Langley asked about the father. He's on a flight. Chicago. I haven't told him yet. Her voice cracked. Langley's eyes scanned the photos on the mantel. Family portraits. Smiles frozen in time, but no wedding photo of Danielle and Mr. Brooke. Curious. Did Kaylin ever mention any trouble? Anyone she was afraid of? Danielle shook her head. No, never. She was happy. Langley spoke with Tasha next. The girl was pale, shaking. She told me something, at prom, about her stepmom. Langley leaned forward. What did she say? That Danielle was cheating with her dad's best friend and that she had proof, a recording, on her phone. Langley nodded. Where's the phone now? I don't know, Tasha whispered. It wasn't with her. The autopsy confirmed it. The blow came from behind. Not random. Not a fall. A deliberate strike with something heavy, maybe a brick or a metal object. There were defensive wounds on her hands. She fought. Hard. Langley returned to the country club, retraced Kaylin's last steps. Behind the shed, they found drag marks. Further down near the creek, a blood-stained flashlight. Danielle's fingerprints were not on it, but someone else's were. Gregory Miles, the father's longtime friend, a man who claimed he hadn't seen Kaylin in weeks. Langley brought Greg in for questioning. He was calm at first, laughing even. You think I had something to do with that poor girl's death? Langley didn't blink. I think you were sleeping with her stepmother, and I think Kaylin found out. Greg's smile faded. That's insane. Langley laid out the photos, the fingerprints, the proximity. Where were you between 11 and midnight? Greg hesitated. At home. Anyone with you? No. I was asleep. Langley left the room, let him stew, then pulled Danielle in again. Your phone says you were near the country club at 11:22 p.m. Danielle blinked. That's impossible. I was home. Langley showed her the GPS ping. You sure? Danielle's lips parted. She looked down. Maybe I drove out there. I was worried. She hadn't texted. I thought she was drinking. The lies began to fray. Langley knew the psychology. Panic sets in, then distortion. But she needed something stronger. Then it came. Jordan, Kaylin's date, remembered her placing her phone inside her clutch before heading to the back steps. The clutch was missing. A team searched the creek again. This time they found it wedged under a fallen log, waterlogged but recoverable. Inside, the voicemail was still intact. Langley played it. Danielle's voice. Laughter. Whispering. Your daughter's getting suspicious, Greg said. She knows. Langley didn't move, just sat there in silence as the audio filled the room. Now she had motive. Now she had conspiracy, and all she needed was the confession. Danielle was quiet as the audio played. She didn't cry, didn't protest. Just watched her reflection in the tinted glass of the interrogation room like she was trying to remember who she used to be. Detective Langley said nothing for a while. Just let the silence work like gravity. Finally, Danielle blinked. That doesn't prove anything. We were just talking. I didn't kill her. Langley leaned forward. Then who did? Danielle looked away. Greg was already in the next room, sweating under fluorescent lights. His collar was damp. His answer sloppy. Danielle called me, he muttered. Said Kaylin had something. Said she was going to show her dad. He looked up. I told her to talk to Kaylin. That's all. Langley didn't interrupt. She waited. You went there, she said finally. We have your prints on the flashlight. You followed her behind the shed. Greg swallowed hard. No, no, that's not what happened. But his hands were shaking now. Langley pulled up traffic cam footage from the county road near the club. Danielle's car. 11:18 p.m. Greg's truck. 11:23 p.m. Both heading in the direction of the country club. Langley showed them the timestamps side by side. You were both there. So who struck the blow? Danielle cracked first. It wasn't a full confession, more like a dam springing leaks. I just wanted to talk to her, she said. I wanted her to delete the message. She wouldn't listen. She was screaming at me, said she hated me, said she was going to ruin everything. Her voice quivered, then hardened. She grabbed my arm. She tried to push past me. I shoved her. She fell. That's it. That's all I did. Langley let the lie hang in the air. The coroner's report said the blow came from a weapon. Not a fall. Not an accident. There were 2 bruises, not 1. Langley moved to Greg, played him Danielle's version. His face contorted. She's blaming me? He laughed hollow. She said it was my idea, but she called me in a panic, told me it was done, said it's over, it's handled. She's not talking to anyone now. That's what she said. Langley didn't believe him entirely, but something in his tone felt cracked, tired, like the kind of guilt that starts to rot you from the inside out. The DA reviewed the evidence. Dual involvement, a conspiracy, not just a heat-of-the-moment push. This was premeditated silence, the kind that starts with whispered plans and ends in the backwoods behind a prom. Both were arrested. Kaylin's father, Michael Brooke, returned home the morning Danielle was taken into custody. He stepped off the plane smiling, expecting to see his daughter's face. Instead, he was met by Langley in the arrivals terminal. One look told him everything. He dropped his bag. "Where is she?" he asked. His voice collapsed into itself. Langley walked him out slowly. "I'm sorry," she said. "We found her early this morning. We believe it was Danielle and Greg." His body froze like it was trying to disassociate from the words. "No," he said. "No, that's not possible." Then the scream came, not loud, not theatrical, just raw and quiet and stunned. The sound of a man whose world had been sawed in half. At the first pretrial hearing, Danielle arrived in beige jail scrubs. No makeup, her hair unkempt. She looked nothing like the carefully groomed woman Kaylin once feared. Michael didn't look at her. Greg sat 2 benches away. Neither acknowledged each other. The prosecutors laid out the early case, audio recordings, GPS data, recovered voicemail, fingerprints. The judge denied bail. In jail, Danielle requested a Bible and a phone call. She dialed Michael. He didn't answer. Langley met with Kaylin's teachers, her coach, her guidance counselor, piecing together her last few weeks. One detail stuck. Kaylin had told her counselor something strange a month earlier. She said she felt watched, the woman recalled. She said sometimes she'd come home and find things moved in her room, thought she was being paranoid. Langley nodded slowly. Did she name anyone? No, just said she didn't trust the people closest to her anymore. Langley revisited Greg's house with a warrant. In his garage, behind a shelf of hunting gear, they found a second cell phone. Burnt at the edges, SIM card missing. But under forensic recovery, one text remained intact, a draft, never sent. She's going to tell. Tonight. We have to be ready. Sent 10:12 p.m. The same hour Kaylin was last seen alive. In court, the defense tried to spin the narrative. Danielle panicked. Greg escalated. Greg claimed Danielle lied. Danielle insisted Greg went too far. Both agreed on one thing: they didn't plan to kill her. But the preponderance of evidence said otherwise. Kaylin's father testified, shaking. "My daughter was smarter than all of us," he said. "She saw through lies. She didn't keep secrets. That's what got her killed. Her honesty." His voice cracked. I brought Danielle into our home. I let Greg into our lives, and they destroyed her. The jury watched Danielle cry on the stand, watched Greg hang his head. But the facts were louder than their tears. The judge's instructions were clear: conspiracy to commit murder and intent to silence a witness. Langley sat through every hour of testimony, stoic, quiet, watching their performances, their unraveling. When the verdict came, guilty on all counts, there was no applause, no tears of joy, just breath. Collective, exhausted, broken breath. Danielle wept as she was led away. Greg didn't move. Kaylin's photo sat on the prosecution's table, her eyes fixed forward, her corsage fresh, her dress glowing. It was the last photo her father ever took. The courtroom was hushed as Judge Elkins adjusted his glasses and looked down at the defendants. His voice was gravel and steel. This was not an impulsive act. This was a silencing, calculated, cold. A young girl died because two adults put their secrets above her life. Danielle barely raised her eyes. Greg didn't blink. Danielle Miles, the judge continued, you are hereby sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 35 years. He turned next. Gregory Thomas, you are sentenced to 25 years for conspiracy to commit murder and obstruction of justice. There were no outbursts, no weeping, only Kaylin's father pressing a hand over his mouth, as if trying to trap everything that still hurt too much to say out loud. Danielle was led out first. The handcuffs clicked and her heels echoed one last time in the hallway. She glanced back, not at Michael, but at the photo of Kaylin on the courtroom screen. Just a flicker. Then she disappeared behind the doors. In prison, Danielle didn't speak much. She refused interviews, declined visitors. A model inmate, they said, quiet, obedient. But inside her cell, she kept a folded paper tucked in her Bible. It wasn't a prayer. It was a printout of the voicemail transcript, her own voice betraying her, her own laughter sealing her fate. Greg fared differently. He tried to appeal, hired a new lawyer, blamed the system, but none of it stuck. Other inmates knew what he'd done, and in prison, the murder of a child, especially one innocent and kind, didn't buy sympathy. It bought silence, isolation, bruises that never made the report. Detective Langley returned to her office the day after sentencing with a file marked closed. She sat by the window, her coat still damp from the rain. Cases never really closed, she thought. Not in your mind, not in your chest. The photos stayed. The voices stayed. The what-ifs stayed. A week later, Michael Brook held a private memorial for Kaylin at the high school auditorium. No press. Just her teammates, classmates, and the teachers who watched her become something golden. Her favorite songs played on the speakers. Her best friend Tasha read a letter Kaylin had written for a scholarship essay never submitted. I want to be someone who protects people, it said. Someone who doesn't look away just because it's easier. Langley stood at the back of the room, hands folded. She watched as Michael released a single lantern into the gray sky after the service. It rose slowly, trembling against the wind. Michael sold the house that fall, said the rooms were too loud with things unsaid. He moved closer to his sister in another county, took a job teaching art at a local college. Sometimes he still set a place for Kaylin at the table, not out of madness, but memory. In his new garage, he kept a locked box. Inside, her corsage, the voicemail recording, and a note he wrote but never sent to Danielle. It said only one thing: you killed my daughter to keep a secret, but you'll live the rest of your life with nothing left to protect. Langley received a commendation for her work on the case. She accepted it quietly, then left early that day. Took a long walk past the edge of town where the fields turned gold just before dusk. She thought of Kaylin, her clarity, her courage, her refusal to stay silent. That's what cracked the case, Langley knew. Not the evidence, not the procedure, but Kaylin herself, a girl who refused to look away, even when it would have been easier, a girl who gave her truth to the wind and paid for it with her life. And for a long time after, whenever Langley closed her eyes, she could still hear that voicemail. The laughter. The edge in Danielle's voice. The low, nervous hush of a man who knew they were already in too deep. She remembered standing beside Kaylin's body that night, her curls soaked from the dew, her dress clinging to her skin like some final breath, and thinking someone loved this girl, and someone tried to erase her. But the thing about truth is that it leaves echoes. And in every lie that Danielle told, Kaylin's truth grew louder. Langley watched the sky that evening, pale with evening haze, and whispered the only benediction she could think of. "You were right not to stay quiet." Then she turned, coat fluttering, and walked into the darkening dusk.